Another night in Manila slums. Another lifeless body, left to drown in his own blood. Jerome Roa was homeless. He slept in any one of the tricycles parked along the street, oblivious perhaps to the dangers. Tonight, like any other night, he slept in a tricycle, but never to wake up again. He was found with 2 gunshots to the back of his neck. It's unclear why he was killed and who did it. But his grandmother, Josephine Cabalquinto, admits he was a drug addict.
Ngayon, mula na siya ngayon nga nagtulak-tulak na lang. Nakita ko rin sa kanya nga medyo nagbago din siya. Kasi ilhan naman mo kung ang kainan, ang mata, hindi kuan. Nagdadrugs talaga yan, hindi ko itatanggi yan.
His family believes Jerome is a casualty in the war on drugs the new Philippine President, Rodrigo Duterte, is waging. The order, says the country's police chief,
stop drugs. Kill drugs. Kill the drug problem.
That has meant the death of some 2,000 people in the first 2 months of the Duterte administration, which started on July 1st, 2016. These suspected drug users and dealers, gunned down and left for dead by unknown assailants, and those killed in shootouts with police, have become common sights in the Philippines since Duterte took office. He promised it will be bloody. The bloodshed has only started. Welcome to the program. Is the Philippines becoming a narco state? That appears to be the view of the new Philippine President, Rodrigo Duterte. There are close to 4 million drug users and drug addicts nationwide, he says. In Manila, the Philippine capital, nearly the entire city is drug-infested. It's a crisis that demands a radical solution. And that's exactly what Duterte is doing in his war against illegal drugs.
Kasi lahat gusto sumugod.
Friday night at a community precinct in the outskirts of Manila. These cops are on a mission. After everyone is sufficiently briefed about their targets, they move. Anti-drug and anti-crime operations have become a daily routine since Duterte launched his war on drugs. They don't have warrants, just names, descriptions, and addresses. So what's going on here is called Oplan Galugad, which literally means Operation Search. Cops are searching for suspected criminals in this neighborhood based on information from local officials as well as concerned citizens in this neighborhood. They find 3 alleged drug users. All deny wrongdoing at first, but eventually admit to the allegation. They're taken to the police precinct, made to sign papers, and swear to never again have anything to do with drugs. This is how a significant number of drug offenders have turned themselves in. Hundreds of thousands have either surrendered or been arrested since July 2016.
We are winning. We are winning. I can say that because I have some surrenderies who really feared for their lives because they are being targeted by these drug lords. I have their testimonies, so I know what is happening.
Christian Cartagena was one of the many drug offenders who surrendered to police. His father admits Christian was into drugs.
Paano nyo na paghinilaan? Paano nyo naisip na mukhang involved siya sa droga?
Laki ng pagbabago niya, laki ng pagbagsak ng katawan. At iba na yung niya. Sumasagot na sa akin minsan.
So finally, nung naging presidente na po si Duterte, ano pong nangyari?
Pinayaw ko na, sir, kung involved ka, sumuko ka na. Dahil mahirap ngayon, puro na wala nang tanong-tanong. Tira na lang dito, tira doon. Kaya sumuko yung anak ko.
For a while, Christian felt relieved and safe. Heeding the call of authorities to him meant he didn't have to hide anymore, and that he was being given a chance to change his ways. So he started going about his daily routine. One day, he took his motorbike to a repair shop. That was where he was last seen alive.
Pinuntahan ko na yung bumatak ng motor. At yun, pumunta na kami doon. Nakita ko yung motor niya nandoon. Tinanong ko yung may-ari ng shop. Sabi niya, hinuli kahapon, Lunes. 3 lalaki, hinarang sila. At yung motor ko, iniwanan, inilipat sila sa single. So lahat na presinto, inikot ko, Caloocan. Inabot ako ng mga hanggang 1 o'clock. Wala lahat, sir eh. Wala. Sabi ko, kung anong siguro may nangyari, ang hiningi ko na lang, sana makita namin yung bangkay man niya para maiayos.
A few days later, Christian's body was found, his skull broken. He had multiple gunshot wounds all over. So this is where Christian's body was apparently found, together with one other body who they say was Christian's friend. Now, residents here say those 2 bodies weren't the only ones that have been found here just weeks after President Rodrigo Duterte has taken office. They say it looks like to them this has become a dumping ground of victims of extrajudicial killings. Christian's father, Cyril, is careful not to point fingers at anyone. But he believes his son didn't deserve a brutal death.
Kung may kasalanan man sa batas, imbestigahan at may kulungan naman, di ikulong, nagkasala eh. Kahit ikulong na lang labang buhay yan kung may sala eh. At least makita ko pa.
Nothing can bring Christian back to life. But if it's any consolation to Cyril, he has the international community now rallying behind him. The United Nations has called for an end to extrajudicial killings that many view as at least state-inspired, if not state-sponsored. A group of local activists and lawyers have also joined the fray. Former Congressman Walden Bello is a spokesperson of a group called In Defense of Human Rights and Dignity, or RIDEFEND.
We cannot take shortcuts because the shortcuts are banned by the Constitution. There are constitutionally prescribed processes for dealing with these issues of somebody who's committed a crime. That person must be arrested. That person must be charged before the court, is given the chance to be able to prove his or her innocence. That's the way civilized societies goes in this democratic age. It's fairly clear to me that you would not have this kill rate of 1,000 in less than 2 months without it being national policy.
President Duterte has come out swinging against his critics.
Itong mga human rights, mamili ka. Is it the comfort and safety of the population or the lives of criminals? We are supposed to protect the integrity of our republic and the safety of the citizens there. We are 104 million. You give me a shit about how many? 1,600 being killed there. You're not even sure kung ilan dyan namatay sa enkwentro, ilan dyan yung nag-suicide, ilan yung pinatay na galit.
Does it need to be bloody? Is this, are we at a point where this is really the only solution to the problem?
So you have to match the force of the enemy. You cannot be kind if your enemy is cruel. Otherwise, you lose the game. You lose the fight. So if they are cruel, then you must be cruel also.
Are you concerned, are you alarmed at the number of alleged extrajudicial killings?
No, because I expect this to happen. Because I know that when we start this war, some people will ride on our momentum. Either it can be a vigilante group, or it is the syndicate themselves killing each other. Because right now they are hard pressed in our war against drugs.
This man claims he's killed 6 suspected criminals since Duterte became president. He introduced himself to us only as Joey. He says he's been a vigilante for 10 years.
Nainganyo ako kasi parang makakatulong ka sa bayan.
Walang ibang paraan para sa'yo? Ito lang ang paraan, yung pagpatay?
Ayun lang ang paraan. Paano mo masusugpo yung krimen? Kung aasa lang tayo sa pulis at gobyerno. Kailangan rin na mayroon din gagawa na katulad namin.
He's a member of a death squad, he says, in his hometown in the central Philippines. His boss, a local politician. And like Duterte,
Galit siya sa ganun, sa drugs din. Apat silang may death squad na unit na mga politiko. Apat lang sila dito sa Pilipinas.
na-inspire ka kay Duterte nung una mo itong ginawa.
Hindi lang dahil Duterte, noon pa. Idol lang namin.
So ngayon na presidente na siya, ano ang pakiramdam nyo? Mas lumakas ba yung loob ninyo na gawin itong ginagawa ninyo?
Oo. Kasi hindi naman kami ang mapagbibintangan.
Hindi kayo mapagbibintangan.
Pulis ang mapupukusan ng saka yung mga drug lord na kasangkot na sila ang nagpapatayan.
This culture of violence and impunity worries critics of Duterte's drug war. They argue that some of his statements, despite being followed by a caveat on self-defense, could incite violence.
Feel free to call us, the police, or do it yourself if you have the gun.
I think what you're seeing is that statements that give a green light, to law enforcement authorities and to vigilante groups. I mean, you cannot make statements like those without giving rise to vigilantism, okay? Because there will be people who will take that at your word.
Alam ko gusto niyo malinis yung ating bansa.
Joey says their brand of justice targets both rich and poor. Duterte makes the same claim. In fact, he's named more than 100 politicians, judges, police, and military men as being involved in the drug trade one way or another. But the fact remains, most of the dead in drug-related killings are poor. Poor, but not powerless, it seems. We arrived at one crime scene in Manila where the suspects not only had a gun, but a grenade. It was the reason police would not allow us anywhere near it.
Dalawang napatay ay nasa watch listo. At nakipagputukan sa ating mga operatiba at yung pagtutulak nila dito ay napakalapit sa aming istasyon. Lubang hindi maganda yung ginagawa nila.
It's a scene that's played out hundreds of times all throughout the country since Duterte declared a war on drugs. Both sides have suffered casualties, but more often than not, it's the alleged criminals who end up dead. These were all people who attacked the police.
Yeah, they were armed and dangerous. Did you see anybody being killed by the police without firearm? There's none.
So you stand by your people.
I stand by my men.
But incidents like this, where the suspect can be heard surrendering to cops before being shot to death, have cast doubt on law enforcers' self-defense narrative.
It's a bit incredible because if you've seen the layout of people who have been killed, the gun is usually at the same distance, from the hand of the suspect. And surely it's not just coincidence that so many of the shots show almost exactly the same distance of different killings.
The Gul, a low-level drug dealer and addict who's now on the run, says he'll fight it out with cops if it comes to it.
Siyempre, yung handa ka na mamatay, handa rin ako pumatay. Manlalabang ka na eh. Kesa naman mapatay ka ng baliwala lang yung buhay mo.
He had already surrendered to authorities. But when he learned that others who have surrendered were killed, he went into hiding and went back to selling drugs.
Hindi ba dapat lalo ka natakot?
Siyempre, natakot eh. Umalis ako sa lugar namin. Paano ako naisunod nila?
Pero bakit tinuloy mo pa rin yung pagbibenta?
Wala pagkakitaan eh.
Pero aminado ka naman na mali yung ginagawa mo.
Siyempre, inamin ko mali yung ginagawa ko.
Nung sumuko ka ba, ano yung nasa isip mo na gusto mo sanang mangyari na sa'yo?
Magbago.
But Duterte's war on drugs has only pushed him from a life of desperation to even more desperation. It has also left some families in fear, grief, and searching for justice.
Yun, makapasakit sa akin yun talaga Si Ayan Sioman, wala akong masabi sa kanya. Kahit sigarilyo man, ayaw manigarilyo. Kahit iinom yan, kunti lang.
Hindi siya user, hindi siya poser. Kasi mabait talaga siya, sir.
That was confirmed by the coroner's report. 20-year-old Roman Manawis was clean. He was just going to buy food. His friend picked him up, and along the way, he took a passenger. They had no idea that passenger was a notorious drug dealer. So here's what Roman's parents believe happened. Right when the other passenger of the tricycle was getting off right at this spot, there were two men on a motorcycle coming from that direction. They came here, they stopped, and then they shot the other passenger. Now, the tricycle driver, Roman's friend, was able to escape, but unfortunately, Roman wasn't able to escape. He was shot before he could even run. Roman was a great loss to the family. His parents are both jobless. He stopped going to school so he can take care of them and was all set to work abroad.
Kung nagtatrabaho yan, sir, uuwi yan pag nagsweldo, may dala-dala ng ulam. Karne, manok, gano'n. Tapos binibigyan pa niya kami kahit kunti lang yung sweldo niya.
Sabi niya sa akin, hayaan mo pa pag alis ko ng abroad. Ikaw ang unang project ko. Papagamot kita sa Maynila, sabi sa akin.
Roman dreamt for himself and his family, but he will never be able to fulfill those dreams. He'd become a victim of war. To his family, he was more than just collateral damage. He was a son and a brother, a good human being, gone too soon. Here's another staggering number outside the number of deaths in Duterte's war on drugs. Hundreds of thousands of drug users and drug dealers have surrendered. It's undoubtedly an achievement, but the question now is what to do to reform and penalize this overwhelming number of drug offenders. Can the government handle them? This is Quezon City Jail in Metro Manila. Population 4,000 and rising. That's around 5 times its capacity and 15 times the United Nations standard.
Impyernong experience. Napakahirap.
Like hell. That's how Michael describes the 3 months he's been here. He was brought in on drug charges just before Rodrigo Duterte assumed the presidency. Since then, it's only gotten worse, he says. Every day, there's a flood of new detainees as Duterte's drug war has shown no let up.
Tikit-tikit naliligo. Siguro sa CR na yun, pwedeng makapaligo ang 10. 10 sabay-sabay.
Pagkain, kumonte, nung dumami yung inmates dito.
Mas lalong kumonte. Mas lalong kumonte. Siguro yung servings ng kanin yung mga servings sa mga fast food, kalahati lang nun.
But the hardest part is sleeping. Most nights, hundreds of inmates sleep on the ground in the middle of the facility.
Kung nakatihaya, kung tatagilgay pa kaliwa, kailangan lahat ng katabi mo nasa kaliwa. Hindi kayo pwedeng tumihaya lahat kasi masikip na lalo. Minsan magigising ka na lang yung mukha nung katabi, yung paa nung katabi mo nasa mukha mo.
But on a rainy night like this, Michael may not even be able to sleep at all. A wet quadrangle means they all have to fit themselves wherever there's roof, which just isn't possible.
So now you're at a point where you have to transfer inmates.
Yeah.
So you can't accept anymore.
Yeah, we cannot accept anymore. We're just already overcrowding. We're already violating so much for the human rights.
Despite this, and despite maintaining his innocence, Michael feels safer here.
Siguro kung mapipiliin nga ako, mas gusto ko nang nandito ako kaysa sa nasa labas ako. Na kung sakaling napagkamalan uli ako, baka patayin na lang ako.
He won't have to worry about that for a while. An overcrowded jail also means huge backlogs in the courts. Most of the inmates here are either on trial or still awaiting trial.
Do you feel that this whole drive against drugs and crime, although you say it's commendable, has this created a crisis within the Philippines penal system?
No. I don't want to consider just a crisis. It's just a call for us in government service. Most of the agencies of the government must help each other just to address these challenges right now in jail management system.
There is a way not to overburden the country's criminal justice system without killing drug users: rehabilitation.
He frames it principally as a criminal issue rather than as a public health issue. And the problem with that is then the next logical step is to deal with it in ways that are quite drastic as you deal with crime, instead of going to the more difficult but necessarily more effective in the long run issue of rehabilitation.
Problem is, there are fewer rehabilitation centers than jails in the Philippines. But here's the irony. For all of Duterte's tough talk, he actually saw it necessary to open a rehab facility in Davao City when he was mayor. The Davao City Treatment and Rehabilitation Center for Drug Dependents opened its doors in 2003. That year, more than 500 drug users and dealers surrendered to Duterte.
Does that mean that all drug offenders are entered into this facility, or are most of them in jails? What was the policy during his time?
Those who are drug pusher, simply there's a law that they will be sent to jail. But for those drug users, they can be enter into the rehab for rehabilitation.
John wasn't only a user, he was a drug addict. This is his third rehab stint, and each relapse was worse than the other.
I could spend in terms of money, I could spend $5,000 a day.
$100 a day.
So it was expensive, and I didn't have the money anymore. I lost all my savings. I would get money from my mom. I would steal money from from the company.
And yet, this government-subsidized rehab facility in Davao has given him another chance and another. Do you think it's worked for Davao?
Yes. Yes. It worked for Davao. And I think it will work for the country too.
And while many Davaoenos, and Filipinos for that matter, agree with John, there are those like Clarita Alia, who are still hurting from the untimely deaths of her 4 young sons.
Di ko gusto pat yun. Kay tanan tao manggod makasala gyud ta og tinuod, pero wala man sila gihatid sa kuha.
Her story next on Assignment Asia. Duterte's war on drugs has drawn condemnation from the international community. The United Nations has repeatedly called for a stop to extrajudicial killings. The Philippine president has responded with defiance. And according to a survey conducted in July, he has the support of an overwhelming majority of Filipinos. Before Duterte became a national sensation, he was a rock star in Davao. He was a 7-term mayor who never lost an election.
Kasi kung makita mo talaga, ay si President Duterte ngayon, ay Mayor Duterte ay nagsasakay ng taxi para ma-monitor yung problema ng mga tao. Nidisiplina yung mga tao. Parang talagang sinusunod at nirespeto.
Much of the credit for Davao's transformation goes to Duterte. Those who grew up in Davao, like Mar Masumgid, know firsthand what it was like living in this city before Duterte became mayor. It's almost 9 in the evening right now here, and as you can see, this place is still bustling. Now, you and I may take for granted being able to walk around in the evening at this hour without fear, but for Davaoenos, it's a huge deal because Davao has a history of crime and violence.
Noong nakatira ko sa may Panakan mula dito, yung malapit sa opisina ng Presidente, sumakay ko ng jeepney, may mga hold-upper pa. Lahat ng gamit namin kinuha pa. So kung tinan mo, doon pa lang talagang kailangan mo na lang tunay na leader. Kung sino talaga.
Just 2 months into Duterte's presidency, police figures are showing a drop in the crime rate. From over 56,000 in July of the previous year, less than 51,000 were recorded in the same month of 2016. But at what price? Murder rate in that same period went up almost 70%. Clarita Alia predicted this would happen. Her 4 sons, she says, were victims of summary executions during Duterte's reign in Davao.
Ito po yung mga anak ninyo na napatay po?
Ano si Richard ni? Diharas kami ba kay si Richard daw kuno, si Richard daw kuno, si Christopher, si Richard lang rep daw kuno. Yung si Tupper, kuan na siya kanang kuan daw nagrugby daw unto siya. Pero giparehab naman to nako siya tulo ka tuig pero gibalik siya ko natingala ko nganong gipatay man to nila nga wa man to kun kaso na to kay giparehab man to nako. Si Fernando na-honor ko to. Na-honor yun siya pero ayaw na ko siya mag-kuan sa eskwela. Patay daw siya. Sakit sa akin kung ako makanang istorya nga mahilak gani nga po.
They were all teenagers when they were killed. It's been years, but their deaths remain unresolved and unexplained. Clarita says police told her sons were on a watch list. She suspects they were killed by vigilantes known as the Davao Death Squad, a group rumored to have been run or at least backed by Duterte.
Sa tingin niyo ho ba siya ang may pakana ng ganitong klaseng sistema?
Isang BI, sige kapag abot niya, sikim patay. Ang sala sa mga bata, tinuod, gagmay na kayo. Dili madapot yun nila unda to. Kaya ang tao, gagmay pagod sila. Pero ilang pat yun. Kung sa pagkabalo sa bata, huwag siya ka tinuod. Yung sala sa kong anak na ko, nga patay may ditso.
Would Davao streets be just as safe had Clarita's sons lived? Was Jerome Roa a reformed man, as his grandmother claims? We may never know. And will the Philippines be safer after the bloodbath that Duterte says may last until the end of his 6-year term? That's something Filipinos have yet to find out.
No matter how strong the criticisms are, Rodrigo Duterte seems bent on continuing his war against illegal drugs. There will be more deaths. The president himself says so. After all, it's a war. The question now is, when will it end? And how many more lives, both guilty and innocent, must be lost in order to win this war? You can learn more about this story on our website, www.assignment-asia.com. That's all the time we have for this week. I'm Barnaby Lowe. Thanks for watching, and join us again on Assignment Asia. Share your thoughts and contribute story ideas for future shows by contacting us on social media.